For more than 150 million years, colossal dinosaurs cast their shadows across the planet. In that vast stretch of deep time, the Earth belonged to giants. Forests shook under their footsteps, riverbanks crumbled beneath their weight, and every horizon was broken by moving walls of living flesh and bone. Some were peaceful plant eaters, but they were anything except small. Imagine a sauropod like Argentinosaurus, a creature heavier than a fully loaded airliner, its neck rising like a living crane above the treetops. Its back would have towered over houses, its legs as thick as ancient tree trunks, its ribcage forming a moving canyon of bone. Around it, herds of other titanic herbivores turned entire valleys into slow-moving mountain ranges. But in this world of giants, danger was never far. Powerful predators stalked these living hills, built for speed and violence in an environment that rewarded size and strength. Gigantosaurus and other massive hunters moved through floodplains, their heads alone as long as a car, their teeth designed to slice flesh and spill blood. Some chased prey the size of buses. Others, like Spinosaurus, patrolled rivers and swamps, hunting fish and reptiles that rivaled modern whales in mass, turning shorelines into killing grounds. In this ancient landscape, size itself became a weapon. A tail the length of a train could sweep predators aside. A single step could crush smaller animals into the mud. Thick, pillar-like bones supported bodies so heavy that, by the rules of ordinary biology, they should have collapsed. Yet fossils show that these giants not only stood, they thrived, spread across continents, and ruled their environments for millions of years. This raises a deeper mystery. Dinosaurs did not just get big. They pushed body size to the edge of what life on land should allow. How did hearts pump blood to heads held 2 stories high? How did lungs fill chests larger than some houses? What secret rules of nature did these animals exploit to become living fortresses that even apex predators hesitated to challenge? Scientists have evidence showing that the air itself may have played an important role. Warmer climates, rich plant growth, and different atmospheric conditions many millions of years ago created a world that supercharged growth and favored the largest bodies. Inside those bodies, strange bird-like air sacs invaded the bones, making skeletons both strong and surprisingly light, while massive bulk turned these animals into natural heat batteries. At the same time, an evolutionary arms race drove size ever upward. As herbivores grew larger to escape predators, predators evolved longer skulls, stronger jaws, and more efficient muscles to keep up. Each group of dinosaurs became one of the most revealing case studies in a global struggle for survival. In this documentary, each giant will be treated like a file in a vast investigation, tracing how air, climate, bones, metabolism, and competition built monsters that could stare a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the eye and still look down. What forces created this age of giants, and why did it end so completely? To solve that question, this documentary turns into a focused investigation of a single mystery. How does a planet build an animal that weighs as much as a fully loaded airliner yet still walks on land? Many millions of years ago, some dinosaurs reached 70 tons or more. That scale was not an accident. It was the result of biology and environment working together under very specific rules. Scientists have gathered evidence showing that several major forces shaped these giants. One of the most important came from the air itself. During much of the Mesozoic, the atmosphere was warmer with high levels of carbon dioxide and, at times, more oxygen than today. Lush plant growth covered vast floodplains. This rich environment did not just feed big bodies, it powered rapid growth, allowed huge lungs to pull in enough oxygen, and helped support animals that turned entire forests into food. Inside those giants, the skeleton and breathing system formed another key part of the puzzle. Many large dinosaurs, especially sauropods, had air-filled bones connected to bird-like air sacs. These strong but light bones reduced weight without losing strength. Supercharged lungs with air flowing through them in one direction likely kept oxygen moving efficiently, even in a massive chest. Together, these features played an important role in letting a long-necked herbivore stretch to 30 meters without collapsing under its own weight. Body size also changed how these animals handled heat. Very large dinosaurs acted as living heat batteries, a process called gigantothermy. Their huge bodies lost heat slowly, smoothing out temperature swings between day and night. This meant that once warmed, a giant sauropod or a powerful carnivore could keep muscles ready for action for hours. In a world of intense sun and seasonal changes, sheer size became its own kind of armor against the climate. But size was not just about climate and bones. It was also forged in an evolutionary arms race. As plant-eating dinosaurs grew larger to escape predators, the hunters that stalked them responded with bigger skulls, longer teeth, and stronger legs. Giganotosaurus and other giant theropods targeted prey that weighed as much as modern whales, while armored stegosaurs and ankylosaurs developed tail clubs and plates that turned bulk into moving fortresses. Horned titans like Triceratops added bony frills and deadly horns, turning their massive bodies into living weapons. In this investigation, each major group becomes a case study. Sauropods reveal how air-filled bones and extreme lungs built the largest land animals of all time. Giant carnivores show how slicing teeth and heavy skulls turned size into killing power. Armored tanks demonstrate how plates and clubs converted weight into protection, while horned dinosaurs reveal how shields and spears transformed defense into attack. By the end of this journey, the rules behind their size will be clear. Viewers will see why nothing on land today can match these giants, and what that difference says about Earth's changing climate, its future environments, and the vanished age when the ground itself seemed to move. To feel that difference, it helps to meet a giant that turned size itself into armor. Imagine an animal so vast that even the largest predators on land would think twice before coming close. In the late Cretaceous of South America, one of the most extreme examples of herbivore gigantism slowly crossed the floodplains like a moving hill. Argentinosaurus. Argentinosaurus lived around 95 to 90 million years ago, many millions of years before Tyrannosaurus rex, and long before humans or even early primates appeared. The land that is now Patagonia was warmer, wetter, and rich in vegetation, with river systems and broad plains supporting herds of giant sauropod dinosaurs. In this environment, being big did more than just reach high branches. It changed the rules of danger. Its name, Argentinosaurus, means Argentine lizard, a direct reference to the country where its fossils were first discovered. Only fragmentary bones have been found, parts of the backbone, pieces of the hip, and a few limb elements. Yet these bones are so large that scientists have strong evidence showing that the complete animal stretched over 30 meters from head to tail and weighed more than 70 tons, heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 737. Each vertebra was taller than a person. Each limb bone was built like a column from a stone temple. With a body like that, Argentinosaurus did not need sharp teeth or horns to be protected. Its sheer bulk functioned as a passive weapon. A single step from one massive foot could crush a smaller predator, breaking bones instantly. Even a glancing blow from its swinging tail could shatter ribs or snap a spine. What pack of hunters would risk darting under such a moving fortress if one mistake meant being flattened? Scientists have suggested that this extreme size played an important role in a quiet arms race between predators and prey. As giant carnivores evolved stronger jaws and faster legs, some plant-eating dinosaurs responded not with speed, but with mass. Argentinosaurus represents the far end of that strategy, where being almost untouchable as an adult may have outweighed the costs of growing so large. Was any predator truly willing to test it directly? Yet even this mountain that walked remains partly mysterious. Because the fossils are incomplete, there is ongoing debate about its exact size, posture, and how it carried its incredibly long neck and tail. Some reconstructions show a more horizontal body, others a slightly sloping back. Different models give different weights. Still, the fragments that exist are enough to reveal the terrifying scale of these herbivore giants and to raise a deeper question. What biological tricks allowed such titans to breathe, move, and stay alive? Answering that question leads into the inner engineering of giants. Their lungs, air sacs, and strange air-filled bones that turned impossible bulk into workable machinery. Those strange lungs and air-filled bones did not evolve in isolation. They were answers to a very special world. Many millions of years ago, during the late Cretaceous, the land that is now Patagonia lay inside a greenhouse Earth, wrapped in warmth and moisture from pole to pole. At that time, this region was a landscape of broad river plains, slow meandering channels, and seasonal floodplains that stretched to the horizon. Conifer forests formed dark green backbones along higher ground, while ferns, horsetails, and low shrubs crowded the wetter soils. Flowering plants, still relatively new in Earth's history, were spreading rapidly, adding dense thickets and fresh types of leaves, seeds, and fruits to the environment. For a giant herbivore, this was not an empty desert. It was a buffet. Global temperatures were higher than today, and there were few or no permanent polar ice caps. That meant sea levels were elevated, climates were more even, and energy from the sun was trapped more efficiently in the atmosphere. In such a greenhouse climate, growing seasons lasted longer, and plant communities recovered quickly after floods or droughts. Scientists have evidence showing that primary productivity in many Cretaceous ecosystems was extremely high, with vegetation regrowing fast enough to support vast herds of plant-eating dinosaurs. Argentinosaurus lived in the middle of this biological engine. Atmospheric conditions likely pushed it even further. Carbon dioxide levels were much higher, feeding rapid photosynthesis and explosive plant growth. Some studies suggest that oxygen may also have been slightly higher than today, adding a small but important boost to the breathing capacity of large animals. In this setting, an animal that needed hundreds of kilograms of food each day could find it, day after day, year after year. The rivers and forests of Patagonia were not quiet. Other titanosaurs, some nearly as large, moved in family groups across the floodplains. Medium-sized carnivorous dinosaurs, including relatives of Giganotosaurus with long skulls and slicing teeth, patrolled the margins of herds, testing the weak and the young. Powerful crocodile relatives waited in channels and oxbow lakes, ready to lunge at anything that entered the water. Early birds flapped or glided between trees, while small mammals hid in burrows and undergrowth, living in the shadow of giants. In terms of biomass, Argentinosaurus was one of the most dominant herbivores in this community. Its sheer size played an important role in shaping which plants survived grazing, how riverside forests regenerated, and how predators behaved around herds. But here is the surprising twist. In such a supercharged world, being enormous was not just possible, it was a winning strategy. A warmer climate, richer air, and relentless plant growth all pushed body sizes upward, turning Patagonia into a stage for an evolutionary race toward greater and greater mass. The question then becomes, how did such huge bodies function in detail, and what hidden advantages did they gain from pushing size to the limit? To answer that, the focus turns to one of the most extreme giants of all time, Argentinosaurus. This titanosaur did not simply grow large. Its entire body was arranged like living architecture, built to spread unimaginable weight safely across the ground. An impossibly long neck stretched forward, a massive counterbalancing tail swept behind, and in between stood a torso carried on 4 pillar-like legs, each one acting almost like a moving support column in a walking building. From a distance, the proportions might seem impossible, yet fossils show a careful balance. The neck was not a heavy crane made of solid bone. Instead, each vertebra was wide and elaborate, with deep hollows carved into its sides. Scientists have found evidence showing that these hollows were filled by a complex system of air sacs, similar to those in modern birds. This network invaded the vertebrae and even parts of the limb bones, turning them into strong but surprisingly light structures for such a massive dinosaur. Inside those towering neck and tail bones, thin, bony walls surrounded large air spaces. This design reduced weight high above the ground, where extra mass would have placed dangerous stress on the spine and shoulders. At the same time, the outer surfaces of the bones remained thick and strong, resisting bending and twisting as the animal walked. In effect, Argentinosaurus carried a skeleton that was both reinforced and hollowed out, a compromise between strength and lightness that played an important role in allowing such extreme size on land. Closer to the ground, the engineering became even more critical. The limbs of Argentinosaurus were columnar, with straight, vertical bones stacked directly under the body. Instead of sprawling like a lizard, this giant stood tall, so its weight pressed straight down through the legs into the earth. Inside these leg bones, the structure was thick and spongy, with a dense, shock-absorbing interior. Each step became a controlled fall, rather than a bone-crushing impact, as the internal scaffolding spread forces through the limbs and into the broad padded feet. All of this supported a torso that functioned as a massive living engine. The long neck allowed the dinosaur to sweep across wide feeding zones without moving its heavy body, gathering leaves from many trees while standing in one place. The tail acted as a counterweight, stabilizing the body as the neck reached forward or to the side. Deep within the chest and belly, a huge gut chamber served as a fermentation tank, slowly processing enormous volumes of tough plant material that fueled constant growth and movement in a demanding environment. Taken together, Argentinosaurus was not just a big animal. It was a walking piece of biological engineering, refined over many millions of years. Its bones, air sacs, limbs, and organs formed an integrated system that pushed land-based size to its limits. But did this giant body also change how it lived, moved, and survived compared with smaller dinosaurs, turning size itself into both armor and vulnerability? That question leads to one of the most surprising advantages of being a giant, turning sheer size into a built-in heating system. Many millions of years ago, when Argentinosaurus walked across warm Cretaceous floodplains, its enormous body did more than carry a long neck and tail. It acted like a living furnace, smoothing out the daily rise and fall of temperature in a way smaller dinosaurs could never match. Scientists have a name for this effect: gigantothermy. In simple terms, it is the principle that very large animals hold heat so effectively that their body temperature stays relatively stable, even if they are not classic warm-blooded creatures in the mammal or bird sense, because heat is lost through the surface but stored in the volume. A huge animal has a lot of internal mass compared with its outer skin. This basic physical relationship played an important role in how Argentinosaurus functioned in its ancient environment. During the day, the giant sauropod's body acted like a massive thermal battery. Sunlight, warm air, and the heat produced by its own working muscles slowly warmed its deep tissues. The process was gradual, not sudden. Instead of overheating quickly, the heat seeped inward and was stored in tons of muscle organs and bones. As evening came and the air cooled, that same stored warmth leaked back out just as slowly, keeping the animal from chilling during cooler nights. In this way, size itself became a powerful shield against temperature swings. Smaller dinosaurs and other animals in the same environment would have warmed and cooled rapidly, forcing them to burn more energy to stay within a safe range. Argentinosaurus, by contrast, could rely on its mass. Scientists have found evidence showing that some large reptiles and marine animals use similar principles. suggesting that gigantothermy may have been widespread among giant creatures of the past. This thermal stability had deep consequences for daily life. Because the giant sauropod did not need to constantly stoke an internal furnace, it could spend long hours doing the one thing a plant eater of that size had to do: feeding. Instead of sprinting, chasing, or making sudden bursts of speed, it followed a slower, steady lifestyle built around endurance. Was a fast getaway ever realistic for an animal heavier than a passenger jet? Or was a calm, energy-efficient pace the safer strategy? With a stable internal temperature and a slow but reliable metabolism, Argentinosaurus could move across broad landscapes, strip branches with its teeth, and process huge amounts of plant material without dramatic spikes in energy use. Its strong legs and column-like bones supported a body that changed temperature only gradually, making surprise cold snaps or hot afternoons less dangerous than they would be for smaller animals. In a relatively warm, productive world, gigantothermy turned the giant into a thermal fortress. Yet this same thermal armor came with a hidden cost. What would happen if the climate suddenly shifted? If sunlight dimmed? Or if food supplies crashed faster than such a massive system could adjust? The answer to that question would help decide why the Age of Giants came to an end. That vulnerability to rapid change was matched by a very different kind of protection in stable times. For millions of years, giants like Argentinosaurus did not just survive among predators. They reshaped the entire battlefield between hunter and prey. The sheer height of Argentinosaurus turned the forest into a three-dimensional buffet. Its long neck and towering shoulders allowed it to sweep from low shrubs near its feet all the way up into tree canopies several stories high. Smaller plant-eating dinosaurs were trapped in a narrow feeding band close to the ground, competing heavily with each other. Argentinosaurus could simply reach above them, stripping leaves and branches that no other herbivore could touch. This vertical monopoly meant that in many environments, the tallest sauropods had almost private access to the richest foliage. This height advantage did more than feed the giant. By controlling high vegetation, Argentinosaurus may have shaped plant communities and migration routes, forcing other herbivores to follow what was left behind. Scientists have found evidence showing that sauropod feeding left distinctive scars on fossilized wood, suggesting that their reach and bite patterns played an important role in how ancient forests were pruned and renewed many millions of years ago. Yet the most dramatic impact of size appeared when predators closed in. Argentinosaurus was not armed with sharp teeth or heavy armor, but its mass alone was one of the most effective defenses on land. A single adult may have weighed more than 70 tons, with thick limb bones built like columns. For a theropod such as Giganotosaurus, even a successful bite to the flank carried a terrible risk. If the giant lurched sideways or collapsed, a predator could be crushed beneath a falling leg or ribcage, its own bones shattered beyond repair. This danger multiplied when Argentinosaurus moved in groups. A herd of these animals formed a living wall of muscle and bone, dozens of multi-ton bodies shifting together across floodplains. Juveniles could shelter in the middle, while the largest adults faced outward. What pack of predators would willingly charge into a moving barrier that could break their legs with a single misstep? Scientists have suggested that such herd behavior played an important role in making full-scale attacks rare events rather than daily occurrences. Fossils from other giant sauropods strengthen this picture. Many bones show deep tooth marks, gouges, and even partially healed fractures that match the teeth of large theropods. There is evidence showing that these injuries often healed, leaving rounded edges and new bone growth. In smaller animals, similar wounds would likely be fatal. In giants, they were survivable scars, proof that the victim walked away while the attacker went hungry. In this ancient arms race, the most powerful weapon was sometimes not claws or speed, but simple scale. Being too big to safely attack forced predators to change tactics, to focus on the young, the weak, or different prey entirely. That shift would set the stage for the next question. When the giants fell, how did those specialized hunters cope with a world suddenly missing its living mountains? That shift in strategy is written directly into the fossils. In museum drawers and desert outcrops, the giant bones of sauropods are not smooth monuments to size, but scarred records of conflict. Under close light, deep gouges and neat punctures stand out along ribs, tail vertebrae, and limb bones, turning each skeleton into a silent crime scene from many millions of years ago. In several late Jurassic sites, sauropod ribs show long, U-shaped grooves that match the curved, blade-like teeth of Allosaurus almost perfectly. The spacing, depth, and angle of the marks line up with jaws closing from the side, as if a powerful predator bit and tore at the flanks of a fleeing giant. Scientists have compared these bite traces to fossil skulls and found evidence showing that even the largest plant eaters were tested by the strongest hunters of their time. Some of the most revealing fossils are not the bones that broke, but the bones that healed. On certain sauropod neck vertebrae and tail bones, bite marks are surrounded by roughened, swollen bone where the wound closed over. Fused fractures in limb bones show thick collars of new tissue, knitting shattered supports back together. These injuries tell of failed attacks, near misses at the edge of a herd, and bodies so massive they could absorb terrible damage and still survive. Healed ribs bent like bows, smashed tail tips grown back into twisted clubs, and shoulder girdles with fused cracks all suggest that size played an important role in survival. A smaller animal might have died from blood loss or infection, but a 40-ton sauropod could sometimes outlast the assault, its bulk buying time for bone and tissue to repair. The price was pain and deformity, but the reward was continued life in a dangerous environment. Other fossils capture moments when that advantage failed. Rare bone beds preserve jumbled remains of multiple sauropods mixed with the teeth and bones of large theropods. In some, sediment layers point to drought-shrunken waterholes where weakened giants collapsed and predators gathered. In others, the pattern fits river crossings, where a slip in deep, fast water briefly leveled the playing field and turned living mountains into stranded carcasses. Then comes an unexpected line of evidence: coprolites, fossilized dung from large meat-eating dinosaurs. Some massive coprolites contain sharp fragments of bone, ground and etched by acids, confirming that these predators fed on the bodies of giant herbivores. Even if a full-grown sauropod was hard to kill, once it fell, its carcass became a dangerous feast, with strong jaws, snapping teeth, and competing hunters crowding in. Put together, these clues create a vivid picture. Attacks focused on the edges of sauropod herds, where juveniles and injured adults were most exposed. Predators shadowed migrating groups, waiting for drought, mud, or deep water to trap the biggest animals. Circling around a dying giant, they risked trampling feet and lashing tails for access to tons of meat. In this world, every decision, where to walk, when to drink, how tightly to pack together, was shaped by size. The next step is to ask how such gigantic bodies actually function from the inside out, and what hidden systems allowed them to grow so large in the first place. From the outside, these giants looked invincible. A full-grown Argentinosaurus, stretching longer than a Boeing 737 and weighing more than a herd of elephants, was almost untouchable by predators. Its sheer size was one of the most effective defenses the ancient world ever produced. But inside that living mountain, every extra ton of flesh came with a hidden price. Scientists have evidence showing that growth to such enormous size was painfully slow. Argentinosaurus did not spring from the egg as a titan. It began life as a tiny hatchling, probably no heavier than a small bird of prey, and then spent many years climbing the ladder of size. Long childhoods meant long periods of vulnerability, when strong jaws and sharp teeth from predators could end the story before the giant phase even began. Gigantism protected adults, but it exposed the young to a dangerous world for a very long time. Once these herbivores finally reached their massive adult size, survival demanded a constant flow of energy. To keep a 70-ton body moving, breathing, and digesting, an animal had to process enormous amounts of plant material every single day. Some estimates suggest that the largest sauropods may have needed hundreds of kilograms of vegetation daily, sweeping through the environment like living harvesters. In rich, wet floodplains, this was possible. But what happened when seasons shifted, or plants failed? The body itself also became a fragile machine. A single broken leg on a multi-ton dinosaur was not a minor injury. It was a likely death sentence. With such weight pressing down on the bones, even a small fracture could collapse into a catastrophic break. Getting up from lying down was already difficult for these giants, and an injured animal might not stand again. An infected wound, far from help and medical care, could spread through the body, while the animal struggled to move to new feeding grounds or water sources. Reproduction added another layer of risk. Instead of giving birth to a few large, protected young, these giants probably laid many small eggs in large nests. Fossils of sauropod nesting grounds show clusters of fragile shells, all at the mercy of predators, changing weather, and trampling feet. The survival of the herd depended on enough tiny, vulnerable juveniles making it through a deadly gauntlet of danger, year after year. All of this only worked because the environment played an important role in supporting such extremes. Productive plant communities, stable climates, and vast landscapes were needed to feed and shelter these giants for millions of years. When droughts hit, when forests burned, or when plant communities shifted, the largest dinosaurs were often the least flexible. Smaller animals could hide, migrate, or switch diets more easily. Giants could not. This balance between size and survival was always delicate. So what happened when the world changed, not slowly, but in an instant? In the next part, the very traits that turned dinosaurs into living fortresses will be revealed as the weaknesses that helped bring the age of giants to an end. For millions of years, once the first true giants appeared, the balance between hunter and hunted changed forever. Peaceful plant eaters had turned into living fortresses, but in doing so, they created a new kind of danger. Any predator that could bring down a moving mountain of meat would become one of the most powerful killers the planet had ever seen. Sauropod gigantism did more than stretch the limits of size. It rewrote the rules of survival. A full-grown titanosaur was so massive that smaller predators could do little more than harass its flanks. Thick bones, towering height, and a wall of muscle around vital organs meant that only the strongest, smartest, or most specialized hunters had any chance of success. Scientists have found trackways where huge carnivores shadowed sauropod herds at a distance, suggesting that the real opportunities came when one of these giants was young, sick, or isolated. This constant pressure created what scientists call an evolutionary arms race. As herbivores evolved greater size, heavier armor, and more dangerous tails, predators were forced to answer with bigger bodies, stronger jaws, and new hunting strategies. Evidence showing that Allosaurus used repeated hatchet-like bites hints at a style of attack designed to bleed large prey to death rather than overpower it in a single strike. Over millions of years, each small advantage on one side pushed the other to adapt again. In this escalating contest, body size itself became a weapon. Larger carnivores could anchor their feet, drive their teeth deep into flesh, and hang on as prey struggled. Big skulls allowed for longer tooth rows and more powerful neck muscles, turning every bite into a devastating wound. Fossils of giant carcharodontosaurids with long blade-shaped teeth show an animal built to slice through thick hide and muscle, targeting the vast blood supply of colossal herbivores in their environment. Eventually, some predators reached lengths that rivaled or even exceeded Tyrannosaurus rex. Spinosaurus in North Africa stretched well beyond 15 meters, while Giganotosaurus and its relatives in South America and elsewhere grew long, deep skulls suited for attacking prey that weighed as much as modern whales, but on land. These dinosaurs were not simply large. they were shaped by an arms race where failure meant starvation. This struggle was not confined to one continent. While South America produced titanosaur giants like Argentinosaurus, other regions answered with their own colossal meat eaters. In Africa, in North America, and across ancient Gondwana, different lineages experimented with size, bite style, and hunting tactics. Each landscape became a testing ground where climate, vegetation, and prey density played an important role in deciding which predators would dominate. The next predator in this story was part of a lineage designed to challenge the very mountains that walked. It was not only large, but adapted in ways that turned sauropod defenses against them. How did a hunter evolve to confront prey that could crush it with a single step? In the following case study, the focus shifts from the herds of South American herbivore giants to a carnivore built to bring them down, revealing just how far the arms race of size could go. To face those living mountains, evolution produced a hunter of matching scale. In the ancient South, many millions of years before Tyrannosaurus rex appeared, another giant carnivore rose to the top of the food chain, Giganotosaurus, a predator so large that it could rival the northern tyrant in length and presence. This dinosaur lived during the mid-Cretaceous, around 98 to 97 million years ago. At that time, the land that is now Patagonia in South America was a warm, lush environment of broad floodplains, rivers, and forests. Herds of titanosaurs, including some of the largest sauropods ever known, moved slowly across this landscape. Among them, stalking the edges of the herds and following the waterways, Giganotosaurus hunted in the same general region where these gigantic plant eaters fed and migrated. Its very name reflects both its scale and its southern kingdom. The species Giganotosaurus carolini means giant southern lizard, a title that marks it as one of the most imposing meat-eating dinosaurs ever found. The second part of the name honors Ruben Carolini, an amateur fossil hunter whose discovery in Patagonia revealed this predator to science. Scientists have since studied those fossils in detail, using each bone to reconstruct an animal that fundamentally changed how large apex hunters in the southern hemisphere are understood. In life, Giganotosaurus may have reached up to 13 meters in length, stretching from snout to tail like a city bus or a small truck pulled end-to-end with a car. Its skull alone approached 1.6 meters, longer than many adult humans are tall, built from strong bones that framed long blade-like teeth. These were not the thick, crushing teeth of T-Rex, but narrower, serrated blades designed to slice deep into flesh and open massive wounds. What would it have looked like to see that skull swing down toward a sauropod's flank? There is evidence showing that this predator represented a very different style of giant hunter from its northern counterpart. While T-Rex had a shorter, more muscular skull for bone-crushing bites, Giganotosaurus carried a longer lower head, better suited to slashing attacks and repeated strikes. Its body appears slightly more elongated, with proportions that may have favored covering ground quickly over short distances. In an environment dominated by titanosaurs, this design likely played an important role in bleeding large prey to weakness rather than shattering bones in a single blow. This contrast is one of the most important reasons Giganotosaurus fascinates scientists. It proves that there was more than one way to build a dinosaur superkiller, even at similar sizes. The arms race of size did not lead to a single perfect blueprint, but to multiple solutions shaped by different prey, climates, and landscapes. If one giant predator could crush bones and another could carve through tons of muscle, what other deadly designs did evolution test among the giants of the Cretaceous? In the next case, attention turns to yet another southern titan of teeth and muscle, showing that Giganotosaurus was not alone in redefining what a top predator could be. But to understand why such predators mattered in the age of giants, it is necessary to step directly into the world of Giganotosaurus itself. Many millions of years ago, in what is now Patagonia, Its hunting grounds were not dense jungles, but wide, open floodplains under a warm, seasonally dry climate. These ancient lowlands were crossed by broad, shifting rivers and lined with open woodlands and scattered forests. During wetter seasons, the rivers spilled over their banks, creating rich patches of vegetation. During drier times, dust and heat dominated the landscape. This changing environment supported herds of some of the most enormous titanosaurs ever to walk the earth, including relatives of Argentinosaurus that may have weighed as much as modern whales. Fossils from this region reveal a crowded community of dinosaurs and other animals. There were smaller theropods hunting on the margins, agile plant eaters moving between groves of trees, and heavily built herbivores grazing near the water. Along the riverbanks lurked long-snouted crocodile-like predators, while turtles and early birds shared the skies and shallows. In this complex web of life, Giganotosaurus stood at or near the very top of the food chain. Scientists have gathered evidence showing that this giant was a specialist in dealing with massive prey. Its long, deep skull and blade-like serrated teeth were not designed to crush bone, but to slice through thick muscle and skin, opening terrible wounds. In a world dominated by titanosaurs, that slicing strategy played an important role in overcoming animals that were far larger than any single predator. Direct attacks on fully grown titanosaurs would have been extremely dangerous. Instead, the most likely targets were juveniles and possibly subadults on the edges of the herds. To bring down even these smaller giants, Giganotosaurus may have needed coordination, timing, and immense strength. Scientists picture one or more predators rushing in to slash at the flanks, then retreating as blood loss and shock weakened the victim. Could repeated organized strikes slowly turn a living fortress into a vulnerable carcass? The open nature of these floodplains favored large, mobile hunters. With few obstacles blocking the view, a tall predator with strong legs could scan great distances, searching for limping individuals, separated juveniles, or the smell of death on the wind. A carcass of a fallen titanosaur would have been a vast resource, and Giganotosaurus was almost certainly ready to scavenge when opportunity appeared. In such an environment, covering ground efficiently was as important as delivering powerful bites. Taken together, this ecosystem formed an evolutionary arena locked in an arms race. As titanosaurs pushed body size to extremes, only predators capable of tracking, testing, and sometimes wounding these giants could endure. Any hunter that failed to deal with the presence of such massive herbivores simply did not last long. Yet Giganotosaurus was not unique. Other southern predators rose to meet the same challenge, each with its own deadly design, raising a new question. How many different ways did evolution solve the problem of hunting giants? For many millions of years, some predators did more than grow large teeth and strong jaws. They turned their entire bodies into guided weapons. Among them, Giganotosaurus was one of the most extreme examples, shaped by the arms race with giant sauropods into a moving system of levers, muscles, and blades. The torso of Giganotosaurus was deep and heavily built, packed with strong muscles anchored to thick ribs and hip bones. This was not the narrow, greyhound-like body of a sprinter. Instead, it formed a stable platform that could absorb impact and transmit power. Scientists have found evidence showing that its hind limbs were long and muscular, but not designed for very high speeds. Rather than chasing prey over long distances, this predator seems to have relied on controlled, forceful steps, driving its weight forward in short, decisive bursts against massive opponents. Above this torso rose a long, low skull that functioned almost like a living cleaver. The skull of Giganotosaurus had large openings between the bones, reducing weight while keeping important struts of bone in place to preserve strength. This design allowed the head to be swung rapidly without tearing neck muscles or overloading the spine. In motion, the jaws and teeth could act like a heavy bladed club, slashing across thick flesh and opening wide, bleeding wounds in a single sideways sweep. The jaws themselves held blade-like, serrated teeth, ideal for slicing rather than crushing. Powerful neck muscles attached to the back of the skull and the vertebrae behind it, turning each bite into a pull and saw motion. Instead of relying on a single bone-smashing attack, Giganotosaurus could deliver repeated, high-force bites, each one cutting deeper into muscle and blood vessels. In a clash with a giant sauropod, this repeated slicing would have played an important role in draining strength from the prey. In contrast, the arms of Giganotosaurus were small compared to its enormous body. They were not the main tools of attack. Fossils show that its true weapons were its jaws, its neck, and its overall mass. By driving its body forward, it could slam into prey with devastating effect, using its weight to unbalance or injure large herbivores before following up with rapid head strikes. Behind all of this, the long tail acted as a vital counterbalance. Heavy at the base and stiffened by interlocking bones and tendons, it helped stabilize the body during lunges and sudden turns. As the head and torso moved to one side, the tail swung in the opposite direction, allowing Giganotosaurus to pivot around its center of gravity while staying upright. This balance system turned what might have been a clumsy giant into a surprisingly precise attacker. Taken together, Giganotosaurus functioned as a coordinated weapon system. The legs positioned the body, the tail kept that body balanced, the skull and teeth cut deep into flesh, and the neck drove those cutting bites again and again. This was not a random collection of parts, but a carefully tuned response to an environment filled with towering herbivores. Yet even this deadly design was only one solution. Other predators facing similar prey evolved different answers, raising a deeper mystery. How did such giants keep their massive bodies running in the first place? To understand how such giants kept running, it helps to start at the business end of a predator, like Giganotosaurus. Its skull was not just big, it was engineered. Large openings called fenestrae broke up the solid bone, turning the head into a framework of arches and struts. This reduced weight while keeping the structure strong, so the skull could resist powerful bending forces when it struck and pulled on massive prey. These arches acted like the supports of a bridge. When the jaws clamped down on a struggling herbivore, the forces traveled through those curved bones instead of snapping delicate sections. Scientists have created detailed computer models of these skulls, testing how they respond to biting and twisting. The results provide evidence showing that the head of Giganotosaurus was both lighter and more flexible than it first appears, helping it move and strike quickly for an animal of such size. The teeth tell an equally important part of the story. Instead of the thick, crushing teeth seen in Tyrannosaurus rex, Giganotosaurus carried long, laterally compressed blades. Each tooth was serrated like a steak knife, with tiny ridges along the edges that sliced through flesh. These were not tools for smashing bone. They were instruments for opening deep wounds in muscle, skin, and soft tissue, turning every bite into a bleeding channel. In living animals, similar teeth are seen in sharks and certain reptiles that focus on tearing rather than crushing. Scientists have used these comparisons along with digital bite simulations to estimate the forces involved. The evidence shows that Giganotosaurus likely did not reach the bone-shattering bite force of T-Rex. Instead, it excelled at delivering multiple slashing bites, each one cutting wide sections of flesh and weakening its victim over time. One bite hurt. Several bites were fatal. The skull alone could not finish the job. Strong neck muscles anchored along the back of the skull and down the vertebrae played an important role in how this predator fed. After the jaws closed, those muscles pulled the head backward with tremendous force. This motion turned the teeth into hooked blades, tearing out chunks as the predator leaned and twisted away from its prey. Imagine a powerful lever, with the neck and skull working together as a single tearing machine. Here the hunt becomes a physics problem. Instead of relying on one of the most extreme single blows, Giganotosaurus used leverage, sharp edges, and repeated trauma. Against giants like Argentinosaurus, a clean kill in one strike was unlikely, but a series of deep, strategically placed wounds could bleed even a titan dry. Many millions of years ago, this strategy matched an environment filled with huge, slow-to-fall herbivores. Yet weaponry was only half the equation. How did both predators and prey fuel such massive bodies, move across vast landscapes, and avoid overheating under ancient suns? To answer that, it is necessary to look beyond skulls and teeth and into the hidden systems that turn size itself into both armor and burden. To understand how such giants lived, it is necessary to return to the ground itself, where the violence of their world is still written into stone. In the Badlands of Patagonia, beds of broken bones record confrontations between some of the largest herbivores that ever walked the earth and one of the most formidable predators of the southern continents, Giganotosaurus. Among these fossils, scientists have uncovered sauropod bones bearing deep, blade-like gouges. The cuts are long, narrow and closely spaced, carved into ribs, tail vertebrae, and limb bones of titanosaurs that weighed as much as modern whales. When the tooth shape and spacing are compared with known skulls, there is evidence showing that the marks line up with the serrated, knife-like teeth of Giganotosaurus and its close relatives. Each groove is a frozen moment when powerful jaws closed on living flesh many millions of years ago. The bones alone do not tell the whole story. Nearby, trackways preserved in ancient mud show parallel lines of large three-toed prints, all moving in the same direction, all made by big theropods. In some sites, these footprints lead toward concentrations of sauropod remains, suggesting that more than one predator moved together across the floodplain. While this is not absolute proof of packs, it hints that Giganotosaurus may have engaged in group behavior, perhaps coordinating attacks on prey that were simply too strong and too massive for a single hunter to bring down safely. Other fossil sites go even further, preserving partial skeletons of multiple large theropods mixed with the scattered bones of giant sauropods. Some Giganotosaurus bones are broken or bitten, lying among heavily scored sauropod ribs and vertebrae. This pattern suggests repeated predator-prey interactions at the same locations, where kills, scavenging events, and dangerous feeding frenzies played an important role in shaping the local environment. In such scenes, even top predators risked injury from each other's teeth and from the crushing weight of falling carcasses. Not every attack ended in death. Certain sauropod bones from Patagonia show clear bite marks overlain by healed bone growth, where the edges of the wounds have smoothed and swollen. These injuries match the same blade-like tooth traces, but the healing proves that the victim survived long enough for its skeleton to repair. Even giants could escape, scarred but alive, carrying permanent records of failed hunts in their own bodies. How many times did a titan stagger away from Giganotosaurus under its own weight, only to face the hunters again? Taken together, these fossils form a kind of dossier of assaults on the biggest animals that ever walked the earth. Scientists have built a picture of Giganotosaurus not just as a scavenger of the fallen, but as an active hunter of living mountains of muscle and bone. Yet all of this is still indirect, a shadow play in rock. To truly grasp why predators and prey reached such monstrous sizes, and why that age of titans ended, the investigation must zoom out from single attacks to the entire planet itself. For millions of years, the life of a giant predator was a constant balance between power and risk. Some dinosaurs were peaceful plant eaters, but others, like Giganotosaurus, were powerful hunters that turned the ancient floodplains of South America into dangerous hunting grounds. Despite its size, Giganotosaurus was probably not a fast sprinter. Its long legs and massive tail suggest a body built for steady, moderate speeds, not the sudden bursts seen in smaller hunters. Scientists have used computer models and comparisons with large animals today to estimate that it could likely move at around 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, but only for short distances. This meant that long-distance chases after fleeing titanosaurs were unlikely. Instead, it probably relied on ambushes from cover, or brief intense pursuits when a target was already close. The strong blade-like teeth and deep skull of Giganotosaurus were designed to slice flesh and cause heavy bleeding rather than crush bone. In an ambush, a sideways sweep of the jaws across a titanosaur's flank could open huge wounds, letting blood loss and shock weaken the prey. In this way, speed was less important than timing, positioning, and the ability to land a few devastating bites. A single mistake, however, could be deadly. There is also evidence showing that giant predators did not always live and hunt completely alone. Fossils of related Carcharodontosaurids found close together hint that loose groups or temporary associations may have formed, especially around carcasses. Instead of tightly coordinated packs, these may have been shifting alliances, where size and intimidation decided who fed first and who waited. In such scenes, a huge Giganotosaurus would have been one of the most dominant animals present. Its bulk and strong jaws enough to push smaller carnivores away from a kill. Like many large predators, Giganotosaurus probably mixed hunting with scavenging. A body this big needed a great deal of meat, and the ancient environment was filled with opportunities. Dead or dying titanosaurs, injured hadrosaurs, or half-eaten carcasses left by other hunters, all represented valuable resources. Its size played an important role here. A single stride forward, a display of open jaws, and smaller theropods would likely retreat, leaving the remains to the giant newcomer. Yet every active hunt was a high-stakes calculation. A misjudged charge at a titanosaur's side could be met with a swinging tail as heavy as a truck. One blow could snap ribs, crush legs, or cause fatal internal injuries that fossils might only hint at through healed fractures and twisted bones. How many giants paid for a failed attack with their lives? On land, Giganotosaurus embodied one solution to the challenge of hunting enormous prey: towering height, slicing teeth, and calculated bursts of speed. But in another part of the Cretaceous world, a different giant predator followed a very different path, turning its entire body into a semi-aquatic weapon built for rivers and deep channels. In the steaming river plains of ancient North Africa, another kind of giant stalked the water's edge. It was long, low, and dangerous, a predator that traded open ground for deep channels and shadowed banks. This was Spinosaurus, one of the most unusual large dinosaurs ever discovered, and one of the most powerful river hunters that ever lived. Spinosaurus lived during the mid-Cretaceous period, around 100 to 95 million years ago. At that time, the region that is now Egypt, Morocco, and surrounding countries was not endless desert, but a humid landscape of wide river systems, swamps, and coastal wetlands. These waterways were filled with massive fish, crocodile-like reptiles, and other dinosaurs, creating an environment where the boundary between land and water played an important role in survival. Fossils suggest that Spinosaurus was one of the most elongated predatory dinosaurs known, possibly reaching 15 to 16 meters in length. That means it may have exceeded even Tyrannosaurus rex in overall length, though it was more slenderly built. Instead of towering over floodplains like some land hunters, it stretched along them, with a body shaped and balanced for a life spent close to the water's surface. Its name, Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, means Egyptian spine lizard. This name refers both to its discovery in Egyptian rocks and to the tall neural spines rising from its back. These spines formed a striking sail-like structure, turning the animal into a moving wall of bone and skin above the waterline. Scientists have long debated the purpose of this sail. Was it used for display, for temperature control, or as a visual signal among individuals in the murky river environment? The proportions of Spinosaurus were unlike those of any other giant theropod. Its skull was long and narrow, shaped much more like that of a crocodile than like the deep, crushing head of a T-Rex. The jaws carried conical teeth without heavy serrations, ideal for gripping slippery prey, such as large fish, rather than slicing through thick flesh. Evidence showing that its nostrils were placed farther back on the snout suggests it could breathe, while the tip of its jaws probed just beneath the surface. Then comes the real surprise. Its hind limbs were short for such a long predator, and its tail was tall and flexible, forming a powerful paddle-like structure. Bone density in its limbs was higher than in many land hunters, making the skeleton heavier and helping the animal stay submerged rather than floating. Scientists have interpreted these features as evidence showing that Spinosaurus spent much of its time in the water, actively swimming after prey instead of simply wading. This semi-aquatic lifestyle changes how gigantism is understood. By moving into rivers, Spinosaurus tapped into rich food sources that could support a huge body without the same weight limits faced on dry land. In effect, some dinosaurs escaped the normal size constraints of land predators by letting water carry part of their mass. A giant that hunted where buoyancy helped bear its weight could grow longer, stretch out more, and specialize in ways that land-bound hunters could not. Spinosaurus forces scientists to rethink what a giant predator could be. It shows that dinosaur gigantism did not belong only to open plains and forests, but also to deep channels and shifting currents. Yet even this water-adapted giant still depended on the broader climate and productivity of the mid-Cretaceous world. What happened when those global conditions changed and the age of giants began to end? To understand why such giants began to disappear, it helps to return to one of the most extraordinary environments many millions of years ago, the drowned world of Spinosaurus. In the mid-Cretaceous, the region that is now North Africa was not a sea of sand. It was a humid, swampy landscape dominated by broad, slow-moving rivers that wound across vast floodplains. Along these shifting channels, dense, mangrove-like forests spread their roots into dark water. Seasonal floods spilled over the banks, creating shallow lagoons, muddy backwaters, and temporary lakes. Warm temperatures and high rainfall turned this environment into a greenhouse of life. Insects swarmed above the water, ferns and conifers crowded the shorelines, and every new channel cut by the rivers opened fresh habitat for aquatic animals and dinosaurs. Fossils from this region show that these rivers were filled with giants. There were enormous sawfish with long, tooth-studded snouts, massive coelacanths, larger than most modern sharks, and broad-bodied lungfish. Crocodile-like predators such as Sarcosuchus lurked near the banks, waiting to ambush anything that ventured too close. In deeper water, strange bony fish and armored species added to the living mass moving through the channels. On land and along the edges of the floodplains, other powerful dinosaurs hunted and grazed. Carcharodontosaurus, one of the most fearsome theropods known, stalked large herbivores on slightly higher ground. Inland, herds of long-necked sauropods and other plant-eating dinosaurs moved between patches of vegetation, leaving trampled paths that led back to the water. This mixture of river life and land life created a layered community with predators at many levels. Scientists have described these mid-Cretaceous rivers as conveyor belts of biomass. The constant flow carried schools of fish, drifting carcasses, and fallen plant material downstream. When floods came, they swept dead animals from inland areas into the channels. This meant that energy, in the form of flesh and bone, was always moving, always being delivered to new parts of the system. There is strong evidence showing that such high productivity could support a semi-aquatic giant, unlike any predator living today. Spinosaurus seems to have taken full advantage of this rich environment. With its long, narrow skull lined with conical teeth, dense bones, and powerful tail, it likely patrolled deep channels, sandbars, and shallow lagoons. Its great length and height allowed it to dominate both water and shoreline, watching for movement below the surface while also scanning the banks for stranded animals or floating remains. In this drowned world, size was not just a display, it was a hunting strategy. By shifting much of its hunting into water, Spinosaurus sidestepped some of the limits that held back land-only predators. The buoyancy of the rivers helped support its mass. The constant supply of aquatic prey fed its huge body, and the mixed environment reduced direct competition with other giants. But what would happen to such a specialist if these rivers shrank, climates dried, or global ecosystems faltered? As the age of giants moved toward its end, changing climates and collapsing food webs began to test every oversized body plan. In the next section, the focus turns from individual predators to the global forces that built them up and then cut them down. As global climates shifted and river systems rose and fell, one predator stood out as a dramatic answer to life in the water. In the vast wetlands of North Africa, Spinosaurus turned sheer size into something even more unsettling: a specialized river killer. The skull of Spinosaurus was one of the most unusual heads ever placed on a giant theropod. Long, narrow, and low, it looked less like the deep, crushing skull of Tyrannosaurus, and more like an enormous crocodile stretched to extremes. Its nostrils were pushed back from the tip of the snout, high on the muzzle rather than right at the front. This meant the animal could sink most of its jaws beneath the surface, with only the top of the snout and nostrils exposed, breathing while it waited almost motionless in the water. At the front of that skull, the teeth told an equally important story. Instead of the blade-like serrated teeth seen in Giganotosaurus or Carcharodontosaurus, Spinosaurus carried long conical teeth with smooth edges. These teeth were arranged in a rosette at the very tip of the snout, where the upper and lower jaws flared slightly outward. This design was not built to slice flesh into bloody strips. It was built to grip. Slippery prey, such as giant fish, would be trapped between those strong interlocking teeth and held fast, much like the jaws of living crocodiles. Fossils from the Kemkem beds of Morocco include huge fish scales and bones found alongside Spinosaurus remains, providing evidence showing that this predator regularly hunted aquatic animals. Scientists have also identified pressure-sensitive pits on the snout bones, similar to those in modern crocodilians, which may have helped detect movement in the water. Together, these features point strongly toward a fish-heavy diet in a dynamic river environment. Further back on the body, Spinosaurus broke even more rules for giant theropods. Its hind limbs were reduced and proportionally short, quite different from the long-running legs of most large meat-eating dinosaurs. Some reconstructions, based on recently described fossils, show a deep, flexible, possibly paddle-like tail with tall neural spines and strong muscles. This combination suggests a predator that could sweep its tail powerfully from side to side, driving its bulky body through the water with surprising speed. Above the backbone, the most dramatic feature rose into the air, a towering sail formed by elongated neural spines. Some of these spines were more than 5 times taller than the vertebrae that anchored them, creating a huge surface along the animal's back. What was this sail for? Scientists have proposed several possibilities. It may have played an important role in display, allowing individuals to signal size, health, or identity. It might have helped with thermoregulation, absorbing or releasing heat in the hot Cretaceous climate. Another idea suggests a hydrodynamic function, acting like a stabilizing fin as the animal maneuvered in deep channels. Whatever its exact purpose, the sail turned an already strange body into a living experiment in aquatic gigantism. Spinosaurus was not just big, it was a radical attempt by evolution to transform a land-based theropod into something closer to a dinosaurian crocodile-whale hybrid. In an age when many predators ruled the shorelines, this giant pushed its hunting grounds into the rivers themselves. But how did such extreme specialization compare with the more traditional killing tools of its rivals? And which design truly ruled the dangerous waterways of the Cretaceous world? In the slow, murky channels of Cretaceous North Africa, power did not always belong to the fastest sprinter or the strongest bite. Here, a different kind of giant ruled, using the weight of its own body and the weightlessness of water to change the rules of the hunt. Spinosaurus was not just long. It was built to turn three-dimensional river corridors into its personal hunting ground. On land, huge dinosaurs faced strict limits. Their legs, hips, and backbones had to carry every kilogram of mass with each step. But in water, much of that burden disappeared. The dense bones of Spinosaurus, its shortened hind limbs, and its broad, paddle-like tail worked together in an environment where buoyancy lifted a large part of its weight. Scientists have pointed out that this support reduced the stresses that normally crush the joints and bones of giants. In effect, the river itself helped carry this predator, allowing extreme size without the same risk of collapse that threatened the largest land hunters. This buoyant body turned shallow channels into deadly ambush zones. Evidence showing that its nostrils sat high on the skull and its eyes were positioned to look slightly downward suggests a hunter that could wait with most of its head and body submerged. In quiet backwaters and along sandbars, Spinosaurus could move slowly, disturbing the surface only slightly. Vibrations from swimming fish and small dinosaurs stepping into the shallows would travel through the water and soft riverbed. With a sudden sideways sweep of its long, narrow jaws, it could snap across the path of a fish the size of a modern shark, or seize an unwary shoreline dinosaur that came too close. Its great length also played an important role in competition. A predator, stretching more than 15 meters, could physically occupy the best fishing bends, deep pools, and confluences where prey gathered. Smaller predators, even other theropod dinosaurs, would have struggled to challenge such a strong semi-aquatic specialist. By holding these prime locations, Spinosaurus could monopolize rich feeding grounds along the river system, turning entire stretches of water into a territory ruled by one of the most unusual giants ever found in the fossil record. The skull and teeth of Spinosaurus reveal another key difference. Its bite force was likely lower than that of Tyrannosaurus rex, but its long crocodile-like jaws carried many conical teeth that were ideal for gripping slippery, thrashing prey. Instead of concentrating power at a single crushing point, the pressure was spread along a row of teeth, helping it hold struggling fish and smaller dinosaurs without snapping its own jaws. Scientists have even compared the shape of its snout to modern fish-eating crocodilians, a further line of evidence showing that this predator was tuned for seizing rather than smashing. In this watery world, being long, buoyant, and specialized was the winning formula. But away from the rivers, on drier floodplains and forested valleys, another design was taking shape. Shorter, deeper skulls, massive neck muscles, and bone-crushing bites built for a very different kind of violence. As the story turns from the river giant to the land-based tyrants of the late Cretaceous, which killing strategy truly ruled the age of dinosaurs? For millions of years, giant dinosaurs experimented with different ways to kill. Some turned to the water, like Spinosaurus with its crocodile-like snout and towering sail, but others stayed firmly on land and pushed raw impact to the limit. On the dry floodplains of the late Cretaceous, one design rose above all the rest. It did not just slice flesh, it crushed bone. This was Tyrannosaurus rex. While Spinosaurus may have been longer from snout to tail, T-Rex became the worldwide symbol of dinosaur power because it represented an extreme specialization as a land-based bone crusher. Its skull was shorter and deeper, its neck muscles thick and strong, and its teeth were not thin blades, but massive banana-shaped spikes built to withstand incredible forces. In this predator, size and structure combined to turn the entire head into a living hammer. T-Rex lived during the late Cretaceous, around 68 to 66 million years ago, in what is now Western North America. At that time, the region formed part of a continent called Laramedia, a long strip of land bordered by an inland sea. The environment was warm and humid, with broad river valleys, dense forests, and open floodplains, where herds of large herbivores moved between seasonal food sources. This was the final chapter of the Age of Dinosaurs, just before the asteroid impact ended their reign. By the era of T-Rex, the truly giant sauropods that had dominated the Jurassic were rare in its ecosystem. Instead of towering long-necked titans, the main plant eaters were powerful in different ways. Triceratops carried huge horns and a solid bone frill. Edmontosaurus formed large herds of duck-billed grazers. Ankylosaurus turned its entire body into armor and swung a heavy tail club. These animals were smaller than the biggest sauropods, but they were far from easy targets. This changing community of herbivores played an important role in shaping the predator that hunted them. To deal with horned faces, armored backs, and thick muscle, T-Rex did not need extreme length. It needed extreme force. Scientists have found fossils of Triceratops and hadrosaurs with crushed bones, deep punctures, and healed bite marks that match the teeth of T-Rex. There is evidence showing that this predator could drive its teeth through bone, break it apart, and swallow the fragments along with flesh. What kind of land hunter needs that level of power? In this sense, T-Rex stands as the culmination of an evolutionary arms race among large terrestrial predators. Other carnivorous dinosaurs rivaled it in length, but few combined such massive jaws, thick teeth, and a muscular body into one of the most powerful land-based carnivores ever known. To understand why some dinosaurs became so big, it is necessary to see how T-Rex weaponized both body size and bite force to an almost absurd degree. How did its bones, muscles, and senses work together to turn bulk into a precision killing tool? And what limits did even this giant predator face? All of that power had to live somewhere. For Tyrannosaurus rex, that somewhere was a vanished kingdom at the very end of the Cretaceous. The Hell Creek ecosystem, one of the most carefully studied ancient landscapes on Earth. Around 68 to 66 million years ago, the land that is now Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming lay on a warm, seasonal coastal plain. Wide, shifting rivers wound through low floodplains. Dense forests of conifers, flowering plants, and towering ferns lined the banks, while open patches of woodland and swamp spread between the channels. This environment was humid, stormy, and often flooded, but it was also rich in life. Fossils from the Hell Creek Formation reveal a crowded community of dinosaurs and other animals. Horned dinosaurs, such as Triceratops, formed herds that grazed on tough plants. Duck-billed hadrosaurs moved in groups, cropping softer leaves and shoots. Heavy armored ankylosaurs, protected by thick plates of bone and tail clubs, browsed lower vegetation. Smaller theropods, including agile dromaeosaurs, stalked prey in the undergrowth. Along the waterways lived strong crocodiles, turtles with hard shells, and fish. Early mammals and birds, still small but diverse, hid in burrows, nests, and branches, surviving in the shadows of giants. This ecosystem was highly productive. Warm temperatures, long growing seasons, and nutrient-rich floodplains fueled an abundance of plant life. That plant energy flowed into the massive bodies of herbivorous dinosaurs, building dense populations of Triceratops and hadrosaurs across the landscape. In turn, those herds supported only a limited number of giant carnivores. A predator as large as T-Rex could not exist without a constant supply of living prey and carcasses spread over a wide area. Scientists have gathered evidence showing that Tyrannosaurus rex was both a hunter and a scavenger in the system. Its powerful legs and forward-facing eyes suggest active pursuit and careful targeting of large herbivores. Bite marks on Triceratops frills and hadrosaur bones match its thick, crushing teeth, indicating attacks on living animals. Yet healed wounds and overlapping tooth marks also show that it fed on carcasses, returning to the same bodies or driving off smaller predators. In almost any confrontation over a dead dinosaur, a full-grown T-Rex likely dominated the scene. To maintain such a body, each adult probably patrolled a huge territory, following river corridors, floodplains, and forest edges in search of opportunities. Its senses, combined with its size, played an important role in locating distant kills, tracking injured animals, and detecting rival predators. In this way, T-Rex functioned as the apex regulator of Hell Creek, shaping how herbivores moved and how energy cycled through the ecosystem. This was also the final chapter of the dinosaur age. In the closing moments before the asteroid impact, Hell Creek held one of the most advanced communities of giant land predators and prey ever assembled. T-Rex stood as both a pinnacle of predator evolution and one of the last experiments in giant size. Why did this flourishing kingdom of giants end so suddenly? And why did nothing quite like it ever return? To understand why that kingdom of giants ended, it helps to see how its greatest tyrant was built. Tyrannosaurus rex did not just grow big. Its entire body was engineered to turn bulk into a controlled weapon. Every major part of its frame worked together to move a massive body with frightening precision. The torso of T-Rex was deep and barrel-shaped, with wide ribs and a broad chest. This huge body cavity supported large organs and anchored layers of powerful muscles. At the back, its hips were extremely massive, formed from thick, fused bones that acted like a living bridge between the spine and the legs. Scientists have found fossils showing that the attachment areas for leg and tail muscles were enormous, indicating that this region played an important role in holding up a heavy skull and neck while still allowing strong movement. From these hips extended long muscular hind limbs that were surprisingly well suited for speed. For an animal weighing 8 to 9 tons, the legs were not short pillars but elongated, with strong thigh bones and long lower legs and feet. This combination suggests a stride built for a steady, ground-covering pace rather than short, clumsy steps. Some studies estimate that a healthy adult could move at jogging speeds fast enough to outrun most humans. It was not a sprinting cheetah of the dinosaur world, but it did not need to be. It only had to be fast enough to close the gap on large prey in a few terrifying seconds. In contrast, its front limbs looked almost comically small, yet the bones tell a different story. Each arm was short but thick, with large muscle scars and strong joints. The claws on the 2 fingers were curved and sharp, and the shoulder girdle was heavily built. There is evidence showing that these arms were not useless leftovers. Instead, they may have helped T-Rex brace itself against a struggling victim, pull itself closer, or stabilize its body as it delivered powerful bites at close range. Balancing all of this was a long, thick, muscular tail that stretched out behind the hips. This tail was not just decoration. It acted as a counterweight to the massive skull and chest, keeping the dinosaur's center of gravity directly over its hips. Strong tendons along the tail stiffened it, turning it into a dynamic beam that helped T-Rex stay balanced while turning, accelerating, or bracing against a thrashing prey animal. Without this tail, the entire frame would have tipped forward. Taken together, the body of T-Rex formed one of the most efficient killing platforms ever produced on land. The deep torso, huge hips, and long legs allowed it to move just fast enough. The heavy skull and strong neck delivered bone-crushing bites. The compact arms and counterbalancing tail helped keep that massive body stable in violent encounters. Many millions of years ago, in the shifting environments of late Cretaceous North America, this design meant that when T-Rex committed to an attack, it could hit incredibly hard and, just as importantly, stay on its feet no matter how desperately its prey fought back. But how did such a specialized giant grow from a hatchling small enough to fit in a human's arms into a walking engine of force? From that growing engine of force, the most terrifying feature emerged at the front: a skull that was itself a weapon. The skull of Tyrannosaurus rex was one of the most massive and specialized ever found among land predators. Reaching up to 1.5 meters in length, It was wide at the back and packed with thick, reinforced bones that formed interlocking arches, like the supports of a stone bridge built to survive repeated earthquakes. Scientists have studied this skull in great detail, using CT scans and digital models to understand how it handled such extreme power. Instead of being a fragile box of thin plates, it was a complex framework where each bone braced the next. Large openings reduced weight, but the remaining struts were arranged to spread stress from the snout, through the jaws, and back into the neck. This meant that when T-Rex bit down with crushing force, the skull did not shatter. It flexed slightly, then held firm. Inside those jaws, the teeth completed the machine. They were not delicate blades like those of many other meat-eating dinosaurs. They were thick, banana-shaped, and heavily serrated along the edges, with deep roots anchored into the jawbones. This design played an important role in preventing breakage. Even when the teeth slammed into hard bone, their rounded cross-section and internal structure helped them resist snapping, allowing repeated impacts during violent struggles. Computer models and biomechanical studies have provided evidence showing that this system produced an extraordinary bite. Estimates suggest that Tyrannosaurus rex could generate over 8,000 to 12,000 pounds of force per square inch at the tips of its teeth, ranking it among the strongest known bite forces of any land animal in Earth's history. What did that mean in life, many millions of years ago? It meant that the jaws could behave like a hydraulic press, driving teeth through flesh, armor, and even solid bone. Fossils record the results. Many fossils of plant-eating dinosaurs have been discovered with deep puncture marks and crushed sections of bone that match T-Rex teeth in size and spacing. Some tailbones and hip bones show healed bite wounds, while others are shattered beyond repair. Scientists have even found fragments of bone that appear to have passed through a tyrannosaur's digestive system, direct evidence showing that it regularly cracked open skeletons to reach nutrient-rich marrow and swallowed the broken pieces. Taken together, this created a killing toolkit that turned even armored or horned prey into breakable puzzles. Massive body size delivered momentum, the robust skull absorbed and redirected impact, and the bone-crushing teeth finished the job from the inside out. In a late Cretaceous environment filled with thick-skinned, heavily built herbivores, such a weapon system was perfectly matched to the challenge. But how did this predator sense, target, and track victims in the first place, long before its jaws closed? Long before its jaws slammed shut, Tyrannosaurus rex was already a frightening presence, but the real measure of its danger is carved directly into the fossil record. For millions of years, its powerful bite left a trail of damaged bones, shattered skulls, and even fossilized droppings that together form a chilling picture of how this predator actually used its strength. Many fossils of plant-eating dinosaurs have been recovered with bite marks that match the teeth of T-Rex in size, shape, and spacing. Triceratops skulls show deep punctures in the frill and face, where thick, conical teeth drilled straight through heavy bone. Hadrosaur tail and hip bones display crushed sections, with splintered fragments pushed inward, exactly where a tyrannosaur's jaws would have clamped down. These are not abstract bite force numbers on a chart. They are physical scars, direct evidence showing that those strong jaws were driven into living bodies with tremendous force. Scientists have even identified Triceratops frills that carry multiple sets of T-Rex bite marks, some of them partially healed. This indicates attacks that did not always kill instantly. In these cases, the prey survived long enough for new bone to grow around the wounds, suggesting repeated confrontations in a harsh environment where escape did not always guarantee safety. Each healed puncture tells of a violent encounter many millions of years ago, when size, armor, and horns still could not fully protect against one of the most dangerous predators on land. Remarkably, the same kind of damage appears on T-Rex bones themselves. Skulls and jaws from adult tyrannosaurs sometimes bear large oval bite marks that line up with tyrannosaur teeth, and some of these injuries also show clear signs of healing. This pattern suggests face biting, intraspecific combat, or territorial disputes, where giant predators attacked each other head-on. Such pathologies played an important role in revealing that these dinosaurs did not just threaten other species, they were also powerful rivals to their own kind. Another line of evidence comes from coprolites, fossilized droppings attributed to large tyrannosaurs. These heavy, irregular masses often contain a high concentration of sharp, angular bone fragments. Some pieces are heavily corroded, indicating they passed through a strong, acidic digestive system. This is evidence showing that T-Rex not only broke bones, but swallowed and digested them, extracting nutrients locked inside the skeletons of its prey. How many modern predators can process their meals so completely? Pathological fossils of prey animals add yet another layer to this forensic story. Fused vertebrae, healed rib fractures, and distorted limb bones in hadrosaurs and ceratopsians point to brutal impacts and crushing bites that did not always end in death. Some individuals lived on with twisted spines or partially mended breaks, walking records of failed or incomplete attacks. Taken together, these damaged fossils read like a detailed crime scene report. T-Rex did not simply possess the tools to be dangerous, it used them repeatedly and effectively, reshaping the skeletons of everything it encountered. But if its bites left such unmistakable traces in bone, what marks did its senses and hunting strategies leave on the wider ecosystem? Those marks did not just change bones, they changed the balance of power. For millions of years, a fully grown Tyrannosaurus rex stood near the very top of that violent hierarchy, and its entire life history was shaped by the climb to that position. Scientists have evidence showing that T. rex did not start life as a massive bone crusher. Growth studies of its fossils, including thin slices of leg bones examined under microscopes, reveal rings similar to those in trees. These rings show that during its teenage years, this predator went through a dramatic growth spurt, gaining hundreds of kilograms in only a few years. A lean, fast hunter was rapidly transformed into a heavy, towering adult with a skull built to crush instead of simply cut. This change in body shape and mass likely meant a change in lifestyle. Younger T-Rexes, with lighter frames and more slender teeth, probably chased smaller, quicker prey, such as juvenile duck-billed dinosaurs and other medium-sized animals that filled the late Cretaceous environment. By targeting different prey than the adults, they reduced direct competition within their own species. This age-based division of labor played an important role in making gigantism successful, because every stage of life could exploit a different slice of the ecosystem. At full size, an adult T-Rex became one of the most imposing land predators that has ever lived. Its height, strong legs, and enormous head allowed it to dominate not only living prey, but also carcasses lying on the floodplains. Smaller predators, even in groups, would have struggled to challenge such a giant for a dead Triceratops. The simple sight of that massive body and those powerful jaws may have been enough to drive rivals away. With long strides and a body capable of covering great distances, an adult could likely patrol huge territories in search of food, turning its size into both a weapon and a shield. Yet this strategy carried heavy costs. It took well over a decade to reach full size, leaving juveniles more vulnerable to hunger, disease, and attack. A single bad season could remove many young animals before they ever became giants. To support such massive bodies, the landscape itself had to be rich and productive, with large herds of plant-eating dinosaurs constantly turning vegetation into flesh and bone. Without that steady flow of energy through the ecosystem, even the strongest predator would have starved. Stepping back, T-Rex shows how sheer size could be used to rule through fear, strength, and endurance. But gigantism in dinosaurs was not only about hunting tools and crushing bites. In other lineages, bulk was reshaped into living armor and swinging weaponry, turning plant eaters into walking fortresses that forced predators to evolve new strategies all over again. In this evolutionary arms race, some plant eaters chose a very different path. Instead of running faster or biting harder, they turned their entire bodies into living tanks. Many millions of years ago, as giant predators grew more powerful, certain herbivores responded by becoming almost impossible to kill. Armored dinosaurs such as Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurus were a striking answer to this pressure. These animals did not rely on speed or sharp teeth. Instead, they carried heavy bodies wrapped in bony plates, spikes, and thick skin, transforming slow-moving grazers into walking fortresses. In landscapes filled with strong jaws and slicing claws, simply making an attack too dangerous played an important role in survival. Stegosaurus, from the late Jurassic, is one of the most familiar examples. Its back was lined with tall plates of bone, and its tail ended in long, sharp spikes. Scientists have studied the plates and found evidence showing that they were filled with blood vessels, possibly helping with temperature control or display. But in a fight, it was the spiked tail that mattered most. A swing from this weapon could drive deep into the flesh and bones of a predator, such as Allosaurus. Size made this defense far more effective. On a small animal, plates and spikes might be pushed aside or pinned down. Stretched across a multi-ton body, they became a moving wall of armor. For a hunter, reaching the soft parts meant getting dangerously close to heavy limbs, whipping tails, and stabbing points. One mistake could turn a hunting attempt into a fatal injury. In the late Cretaceous, Ankylosaurus took this strategy to an extreme. Its back and sides were covered in thick, interlocking armor plates, with additional bony knobs protecting the neck and even parts of the face. Beneath this shell, its body was low and wide, giving it a low center of gravity that made flipping it over extremely difficult. Scientists have found fossils with fused armor and strong tail vertebrae, evidence showing that the tail club was built for repeated, violent impact. Here, the pattern interrupts expectations. This was a plant eater that could crush a predator. The tail of Ankylosaurus ended in a massive bony club, swung by powerful muscles anchored to robust hip bones. A well-aimed blow could shatter ribs or break the legs of even one of the most dangerous carnivores. Some researchers have suggested that a direct hit could snap the pelvis of a large tyrannosaur in a single strike. In such encounters, the most dangerous animal on the field was not always the one with the biggest teeth. Gigantism, combined with armor and built-in weapons, turned defense into offense. In the next stage of this story, other herbivores would push size even further, relying less on armor and more on sheer bulk to make predators think twice before attacking at all. For many millions of years, some plant-eating dinosaurs did more than just get big. They turned their bodies into living fortresses. If a horned Triceratops was a shield wall and a spiked Stegosaurus was a spiny barricade, then Ankylosaurus was a low, rumbling tank that dared predators to strike first. Ankylosaurus lived in the late Cretaceous, around 68 to 66 million years ago, in the same North American environments that produced Tyrannosaurus rex. River plains, coastal swamps, and forests were filled with herds of duck-billed hadrosaurs and horned ceratopsians, but moving among them was one of the most heavily armored dinosaurs ever discovered. Scientists have found fossils showing that this animal shared its world with T-Rex, placing two very different solutions to danger side by side: towering, a bone-crushing hunter, and low-slung, armored battering ram. Its scientific name, Ankylosaurus magniventris, means fused lizard with a great belly. The fused part refers to the way many of its armor plates and vertebrae were locked together, forming a rigid shield along the neck, back, and hips. The great belly reflects its massive, wide body, which hung close to the ground like a living boulder. This combination produced an herbivore that was not fast or graceful, but incredibly hard to injure. In life, Ankylosaurus may have reached 8 meters in length and weighed several tons, roughly comparable to a small bus. Imagine that much mass wrapped in layers of bone and keratin. Thick, oval plates, called osteoderms, were embedded in the skin, while rows of spikes guarded the flanks. Beneath this outer armor, strong bones and powerful limb muscles supported the weight, allowing the animal to trudge steadily through its environment, despite its heavy protection. The most famous feature of Ankylosaurus, however, was its tail club. At the end of a stiffened, muscular tail, the last vertebrae were encased in a dense, bony mass shaped somewhat like a hammer. Evidence showing that these clubs were solid and heavy suggests they could deliver bone-shattering blows. Biomechanical studies indicate that a sideways swing might have been strong enough to break the legs of an attacking predator, even one as dangerous as a tyrannosaur. This turned defense into active deterrence. Instead of fleeing, Ankylosaurus could crouch low, protect its softer underside, and swing its tail as a moving weapon. In this way, size and armor played an important role together. The animal's bulk made it difficult to flip or drag, while the club punished any predator that tried to reach past the armor. Ankylosaurus shows a different path to dangerous size. Rather than towering above the landscape like a sauropod, it hugged the ground, using weight, armor, and a built-in mace to survive. But not all giants relied on armor at all. What happened when evolution pushed plant eaters toward even greater size, stripping away plates and spikes, and trusting almost entirely in bulk? Ankylosaurus turned that idea into reality. Instead of reaching for the sky, this dinosaur spread itself across the ground, becoming a living shield that predators had to think twice about attacking. Its danger did not come from speed or sharp teeth, but from being almost impossible to hurt. The body of Ankylosaurus was broad, low, and massively built. Its torso was wide like a living tank, and its spine and ribs formed a solid platform that carried huge weight. Short, powerful limbs splayed slightly outward, spreading that weight close to the ground and gripping the ancient soil. This meant that when a theropod tried to shove or flip it, the force ran into a low, stable base instead of a tall, tipping frame. For a predator, turning this animal over was almost impossible. Across this sturdy body lay one of the most remarkable defenses in the dinosaur world. The back, neck, and flanks were covered in interlocking osteoderms, bony plates that grew within the skin. Scientists have found fossils where these plates are preserved in rows, showing how they overlapped like tiles on a roof. Each plate was then covered in keratin, the same material that makes horns and hooves, creating a hard outer layer over already strong bones. Together, these elements formed a shield that could absorb and deflect powerful bites. Along the sides, that shield did not end in a smooth edge. It bristled with knobs and spikes that projected outward from the body. Any predator trying to bite around the edge of the armor risked stabbing its own jaws on these projections. Evidence showing that some theropod teeth were broken or damaged suggests that armored prey like Ankylosaurus punished careless attacks. In effect, the safest angle of approach almost did not exist. Even a glancing contact could be painful. The head completed this defensive design. The skull of Ankylosaurus was low, flat, and heavily armored, with thick bones fused together into a solid block. Bony plates and ridges covered the top and sides, and the eyes were small and set within deep, protected sockets. The nasal region was complex, with passages partly hidden and reinforced. To a predator, there were very few soft targets to grab, and a direct bite to the head meant biting into reinforced bone and armor. All of this protection worked together with sheer mass. Many millions of years ago, in its late Cretaceous environment, Ankylosaurus moved slowly, but every step carried the weight of a mobile bunker. Its armor, low stance, and heavy tail club played an important role in making attack both risky and exhausting. For a hungry carnivore, why waste energy on a living fortress when easier prey was all around? That question shaped the arms race of size in surprising ways, pushing some herbivores toward a very different strategy: towering height instead of armor. But for Ankylosaurus, armor was only half the story. Many millions of years ago, this low, tank-like dinosaur turned its entire rear end into a weapon so dangerous that even the largest predators had to think twice before closing in. Its size did not just make it hard to kill. It allowed it to strike back with terrifying force. The tail of Ankylosaurus was one of the most remarkable structures in the dinosaur world. Along much of its length, the vertebrae were tightly interlocked and reinforced, forming a semi-rigid rod rather than a flexible whip. Strong tendons ran along this framework like biological cables, binding the bones together and transmitting power from the massive hip muscles all the way to the tip. In mechanical terms, the entire tail became a lever, built to swing and to hit. At the far end of this lever sat the famous tail club. Fossils show a huge fused mass of bone, sometimes as large as a bowling ball, or even bigger, made from enlarged vertebrae and thick bony growths. This heavy core was likely sheathed in tough tissue and skin, turning it into a dense, rounded hammer. When that hammer moved at speed, its weight and shape focused energy into a relatively small impact area, much like a war mace in later human history. Biomechanical studies have provided striking numbers. Scientists have modeled the tail of Ankylosaurus and related species using muscle reconstructions and the geometry of the vertebrae. The results offer evidence showing that a full-force swing could deliver impact forces high enough to break large bones, not just crack them. In some simulations, the tail club could hit with enough energy to shatter the leg of a predator the size of Tyrannosaurus rex. A single well-placed blow to the shin or ankle might leave even a giant carnivore crippled. This power only mattered because of behavior. Ankylosaurus was not chasing enemies. It was turning its body into a defensive machine. With its low center of gravity and wide stance, it could pivot its hips while keeping its vulnerable underbelly and softer flank plates angled away. By swinging the tail in wide arcs behind and to the sides, it effectively turned its rear half into a lethal zone. Any predator trying to circle around the armor to attack from behind risked stepping into range of a bone-crushing strike. In this way, size played an important role in offense as well as defense. A larger body meant more muscle to drive the tail, a longer lever arm, and a heavier club. Ankylosaurus did not just endure the presence of giant predators. It carried a built-in counterattack that could snap bones and end a hunt in an instant. But if armor and clubs were one solution to the threat of huge carnivores, what happened when evolution pushed herbivores toward a completely different answer? Simply growing far above a predator's reach? For millions of years, armor and weapons on four legs shaped the balance between hunters and hunted. While some giants tried to escape danger by growing tall necks and towering bodies, others turned their backs into living shields and their tails into spears. Long before Ankylosaurus patrolled the late Cretaceous, another armored giant made its stand. In the late Jurassic, around 155 to 150 million years ago, Stegosaurus moved through floodplains that also held Allosaurus and other strong predators. This dinosaur carried 2 rows of tall bony plates along its spine and a fearsome cluster of tail spikes at the rear. Together, these features turned a slow, small-headed plant eater into a dangerous obstacle. Stegosaurus was not the largest herbivore of its time, but it was still impressive. Adults reached around 9 meters in length and weighed several tons, heavier than most modern land animals. A predator that tried to attack such a body faced thick muscles, heavy bones, and a sweeping tail that could strike with powerful force. Even with a small head and a brain often described as one of the most limited among large dinosaurs, this animal did not need clever tactics. It only needed to stand its ground and swing. The tall plates rising from the back of Stegosaurus have long puzzled scientists. Some fossils show blood vessel impressions on these plates, giving evidence showing that they may have helped with thermoregulation. warming or cooling the animal as conditions changed. Their size, shape, and arrangement also suggest that they played an important role in visual display, making the animal look larger to predators and more impressive to rivals or potential mates. In contrast, the tail spikes, often called the thagomizer, leave little doubt about their purpose. Scientists have found fossils of large predators with puncture wounds that match the shape and spacing of Stegosaurus tail spikes. In some cases, the damage cuts deep into the bones, as if a single swing drove the spike straight through muscle and into the skeleton. These injuries provide direct evidence, showing that the thagomizer was not just for show. It was used in combat, and it could turn a hunting attempt into a deadly mistake. Stegosaurus was not alone in this strategy. Later in the Cretaceous, nodosaurids and additional ankylosaurs covered their bodies with heavy armor, shoulder spikes, and thick skin. Some lacked tail clubs but carried massive shoulder spines, while others combined broad size with dense bony plates to form walking fortresses. In different times and environments, separate lineages of plant-eating dinosaurs independently combined, increasing body size with armor to survive among powerful hunters. The pattern is clear. Whenever predators pushed too hard, evolution answered with bigger, tougher, and more dangerous herbivores. Each new layer of armor, each extra ton of mass, escalated the ancient arms race. But what happened when size itself became the main weapon, and herbivores grew so large that even armor became almost unnecessary? In this escalating arms race, some plant eaters did not just endure the attacks of predators. They met force with force. Among them, one of the most dangerous herbivores of the late Cretaceous stood ready like a living fortress, Triceratops. This giant dinosaur lived around 68 to 66 million years ago in what is now Western North America. In its floodplain environment, it shared the landscape with Tyrannosaurus rex and other powerful hunters. An adult Triceratops was roughly the size of a large truck, with a body length of about 8 to 9 meters and a weight of several tons. Its skull alone could exceed 2 meters in length, making it one of the most massive heads ever carried by a land animal. The name Triceratops horridus means horrible three-horned face, and it earned that title. 2 long brow horns projected over its eyes, while a shorter horn rose from the nose. Together, these strong pointed structures turned the front of the skull into a natural set of spears. Scientists have found that the bases of these horns were thick and well anchored into the bones of the skull, suggesting that they could withstand heavy impact during combat. Behind the horns stretched a wide, bony frill that framed the back of the skull. This frill was not a thin ornament. It provided attachment sites for thick neck muscles that helped brace the head and aim the horns. The neck itself was short and strong, and it joined a deep, heavy torso carried on sturdy, column-like limbs. When all of these features worked together, Triceratops could drive its entire body forward, turning its head and horns into a battering ram of flesh and bone. Evidence showing that these horns were used in real battles comes from dramatic fossils. Some Tyrannosaurus rex skulls preserve circular or oval puncture wounds that match the size and shape of Triceratops' horns. In a few cases, the holes penetrate deeply into the bone, and there are signs of healing, meaning the predator survived the impact for a time. Other skulls show no healing at all, hinting that a single well-placed charge might have been fatal. These injuries suggest that confrontations between these giants could be deadly for both sides. Triceratops did not rely on armor plates like ankylosaurs or rows of spikes like stegosaurs. Instead, it turned mass and momentum into both shield and spear. Its broad body protected vital organs, its frill guarded the neck, and its horns threatened any attacker that came too close. In this way, size played an important role, not just in defense, but in offense. What predator would lightly risk facing a charging fortress with 3 deadly horns? In the closing days of the dinosaur age, Triceratops stood as one of the most dangerous plant eaters a hunter could ever choose to attack, showing how sheer bulk and specialized weapons could turn an herbivore into an active combatant in the ancient struggle for survival. But in a world filled with charging fortresses like Triceratops, not every predator tried to match that power horn for horn. Some hunters chose a different path. Instead of growing heavier and slower, they became faster, lighter, and far more precise. Among these were the dromaeosaurs, the raptor dinosaurs, such as Deinonychus and Utah raptor. These predators were not the largest in their environments, but they were among the most dangerous medium-sized hunters many millions of years ago. Living in ecosystems dominated by giants, they turned speed, agility, and coordination into deadly tools, showing that smaller size did not always mean weaker. Deinonychus, for example, was roughly the length of a large modern predator cat, but its body was built very differently. Its skull was narrow, with sharp, slicing teeth, and its arms were long with grasping hands that could hold struggling prey. The tail was stiffened with special rods of bone, giving it strength but also flexibility near the base. This allowed the animal to swing its tail like a counterweight, keeping balance while turning or leaping in sudden, explosive movements. Utah raptor, one of the most impressive dromaeosaurs known, scaled this design up to a far larger size. It carried massive, sickle-shaped claws on the second toes of each foot, sometimes more than 20 centimeters long. These claws were strongly curved and laterally compressed, like the blade of a hunting knife. Instead of relying on a single crushing bite, these dinosaurs could leap, latch on, and drive those claws into flesh, tendons, or soft parts of the body. They were precision attackers, not blunt instruments. Scientists have found fossils of dromaeosaurs together with the bones of larger herbivores, including individuals of different ages at the same site. In some places, multiple Deinonychus skeletons have been discovered around the remains of a single plant-eating dinosaur. While this does not prove complex social behavior, it is strong evidence showing that these predators sometimes fed and possibly hunted in groups. If several agile hunters rushed a larger animal from different sides, what chance did it have to defend every angle at once? Even a strong adult could be harassed, wounded, and eventually exhausted. Juveniles and smaller species were at even greater risk. In this way, mid-sized hunters played an important role in ancient food webs, targeting prey that giant theropods ignored or could not easily catch in dense forests, steep riverbanks, or cluttered floodplains. This is the pattern interrupt in the Age of Giants. Danger did not only come in towering forms, it also ran low to the ground, feathered, fast, and coordinated. Scientists have gathered growing evidence that different predators specialized in different prey sizes, body types, and vulnerabilities. The evolutionary arms race did not simply build bigger bodies, it diversified the very idea of threat, setting the stage for an entire spectrum of hunting strategies that would shape dinosaur ecosystems until their final days. On land, the arms race produced giant hunters and living fortresses. But high above those battles, another experiment in size was unfolding. For millions of years, the skies themselves held giants that pushed the limits of what a flying body could be. Among them, Quetzalcoatlus was one of the most extraordinary. This pterosaur, living in the late Cretaceous, reached wingspans close to a small airplane, and when standing on the ground, may have been as tall as a giraffe. Long pillar-like limbs, a massive head, and a neck like a living crane turned it into a towering presence, whether in the air or on land. Pterosaurs were not dinosaurs, but they shared the same ancient environments and challenges. While giant sauropods tested how heavy a land animal could become, these flying reptiles tested how large a body could rise into the air without failing. In the sky, weight is the ultimate enemy. Every extra kilogram had to be lifted, accelerated, and kept aloft. How did they manage it? Their bones hold part of the answer. pterosaur skeletons were built from hollow, air-filled bones with thin but strong walls, much like those of modern birds. This design reduced mass while still resisting bending forces during powerful wing strokes. Scientists have found fossils showing that these bones were often reinforced inside by fine struts, creating a natural framework that balanced lightness and strength. The wings themselves were vast membranes of skin and muscle, stretched from an extremely elongated fourth finger down along the body. These membranes could change shape in flight, adjusting lift and control. A deep, keeled breastbone anchored powerful flight muscles, which drove each downstroke like a biological engine. With this system, even a giant like Quetzalcoatlus could launch using a strong four-limbed leap, then transition into long, energy-saving glides over ancient coastal plains and inland seas. The environment of many millions of years ago also played an important role. During much of the Mesozoic, the planet was warmer, with fewer freezing winters and more stable climates across wide regions. Some scientists have suggested that slightly different atmospheric conditions, possibly including higher oxygen or density in certain periods, might have made sustaining large flying animals easier than it would be in the modern atmosphere. While details are still debated, there is evidence showing that rich ecosystems and warm temperatures provided abundant food and favorable air for these aerial giants. Together, giant pterosaurs demonstrate that the age of dinosaurs was not just about size on the ground. It was a time when multiple groups were testing how big life could become in every direction, on land, in water, and in the sky. As conditions began to change, those experiments in scale would face new limits, raising another question. What finally brought this world of giants to an end? To understand why that world of giants existed at all, another question must be asked. What was in the air many millions of years ago? The answer lies not only in the dinosaurs themselves, but in the atmosphere that wrapped the planet, turning the entire Earth into a kind of growth chamber for huge bodies and powerful lungs. During much of the Mesozoic, the atmosphere was loaded with more carbon dioxide than today, and global temperatures were warmer from pole to pole. Instead of ice caps and long-killing winters, there were humid forests, fern plains, and conifer woodlands stretching across continents. In this rich environment, plants grew quickly and in great abundance. For giant herbivores, that meant almost endless food, and for the predators that hunted them, it meant a stable base of prey, large enough to support strong jaws, massive bones, and entire communities of dangerous hunters. Scientists have found evidence showing that these greenhouse conditions were not uniform, but they were persistent over millions of years. Warm seas, high humidity, and dense vegetation created ecosystems where sheer size became a reliable defense and a workable lifestyle. Some of the most enormous sauropods, such as Argentinosaurus and Patagotitan, could only exist in a world where the land itself functioned like a vast year-round buffet. There is also a long-running debate about oxygen. Not every Mesozoic interval had dramatically higher oxygen levels, but some periods may have offered a slight boost compared with today. Even a modest increase in oxygen availability could have played an important role for large, active animals, especially those with fast growth and constant movement. Insects and early reptiles show similar patterns in the fossil record, hinting that the air itself helped fuel bigger bodies and more energetic lifestyles. The warm climate also changed the rules of body design. In cold environments, small, compact bodies help conserve heat, but in a greenhouse world, that pressure was weaker. Large animals could spread heat through their vast bulk, acting as living heat reservoirs. This gigantothermy meant that huge dinosaurs were less likely to freeze at night or overheat in the day, as their massive bodies smoothed out temperature swings that would challenge smaller creatures. Inside those bodies, another advantage was hidden. Many dinosaurs, especially the giant sauropods and powerful theropods, carried bird-like respiratory systems with air sacs that invaded their bones. These air sacs made the skeleton light yet strong and, more importantly, created a one-way flow of air through the lungs. This system moved more oxygen per breath than the lungs of mammals, turning each inhale into an efficient engine for supporting great size and sustained activity. It raises a striking thought. In the same atmosphere, could a mammal-style giant have matched them? The answer may be no. The combination of warm climate, abundant plants, and highly efficient, bird-like breathing gave dinosaurs a unique advantage. They were not simply big because they wanted to be big. They were big because the air they breathed, the heat that surrounded them, and the environments they dominated made gigantism not only possible but successful, until those atmospheric rules began to change again. Those rules did not fade gently. They were shattered in a single, terrible moment. Around 66 million years ago, a mountain-sized asteroid slammed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, releasing more energy than billions of nuclear bombs and marking the end of the age of giants on land. The impact was one of the most violent events in Earth's history. Rock and vapor were blasted high into the atmosphere. Firestorms swept across continents as superheated debris rained back down, igniting forests that had fed herds of giant plant-eating dinosaurs. Scientists have found a thin global layer rich in iridium and tiny glassy droplets, evidence showing that this single strike wrapped the planet in a shroud of dust and ash. With sunlight blocked, photosynthesis crashed. Plants withered, plankton died, and food chains that had taken many millions of years to build began to collapse in a matter of months. In this darkened environment, size turned from advantage to danger. Enormous sauropods and giant predators like Tyrannosaurus rex needed huge amounts of food every day to power their strong muscles and heavy bones. When the plants disappeared, the herbivores starved. When the herbivores vanished, the hunters followed. Smaller animals faced the same chaos, but their needs were different. Many could hide in burrows, feed on seeds, insects, or decaying matter, and survive on far less. Some early mammals, small reptiles, and bird-like dinosaurs with beaks capable of cracking tough seeds had better odds when the great forests burned. Flexibility, not raw power, played an important role in deciding which lineages endured. Even after the dust began to settle, the world that emerged was not the same. Post-impact climates became more unstable, with sharper seasons, greater swings between heat and cold, and frequent regional disruptions. In such a shifting environment, animals that reproduced quickly and adapted over short time scales had a major advantage. Gigantic dinosaurs, with long growth periods and slow reproduction, could not adjust fast enough. Fossils from the early Cenozoic show that mammals, birds, and smaller reptiles inherited this transformed world. They expanded into empty niches once held by colossal dinosaurs, but they did so with different strategies. Instead of building ever larger land bodies, many evolved sharper senses, more complex behavior, or specialized teeth and jaws, trading sheer size for versatility. The Age of Giants did not end because gigantism was a failure. It ended because the rules of the game changed almost overnight, and the old champions were built for a world that no longer existed. But if land could no longer support dinosaurs the size of buildings, where did nature send its next giants? On the modern Earth, the age of land giants is over. No animal walking on the ground today even comes close to the towering sauropods that ruled many millions of years ago. Some of those dinosaurs stretched over 30 meters in length and may have weighed more than 70 tons, turning entire valleys into pathways for living towers of flesh and bone. In contrast, the largest land animals alive are African elephants and giraffes. A huge bull elephant can reach around 6 or 7 tons with a strong body and heavy tusks, and a tall giraffe can look across the tops of trees. Yet even together, they are dwarfed by the largest sauropods. A single Argentinosaurus could have outweighed 10 elephants, while its neck alone rose higher than a giraffe's entire body. This size gap is one of the most striking differences between the ancient world and the present. Why has land never again produced such titans? Scientists have evidence showing that the Mesozoic environment was warmer on average, with fewer freezing seasons and different rainfall patterns. Many regions supported lush, fast-growing plants that could feed herds of giants. The atmosphere itself was not the same, with higher carbon dioxide and different oxygen levels that played an important role in plant productivity and in how animal bodies handled heat. In that world, taking several decades to grow toward 50 or 60 tons was possible. In the modern world, ecosystems are more variable and often less forgiving to such slow extreme growth. Droughts, fires, and rapid climate shifts can remove food over large areas. An animal that needs a forest's worth of leaves every week faces greater risk if its food disappears. Instead of building fortresses of flesh, many large mammals balance size with mobility and flexibility, staying strong, but not truly colossal. Mammalian biology also sets different limits. Large mammals give live birth to a few well-developed young and invest heavily in each one for years. For an animal that might need decades to reach giant size, a single bad year of disease or hunger could wipe out an entire generation. In contrast, many giant dinosaurs laid large numbers of eggs. Scientists have found fossils of nesting grounds that show dozens, even hundreds of eggs in one place. This strategy spread the risk and allowed some offspring to survive even when conditions were harsh. Predator-prey relationships have changed as well. Modern land predators often rely on speed, intelligence, and flexible hunting strategies rather than sheer size. Prey animals escape with agility, group behavior, and rapid reproduction. In such an arms race, being moderately large but quick can be safer than being a slow-moving mountain of meat. Is it any surprise that the land no longer builds walking skyscrapers? Yet nature did not abandon gigantism entirely. In the oceans, whales have reached and even surpassed the mass of the largest dinosaurs, using water to support their huge bodies and rich marine food webs to fuel them. On land, however, the truly colossal remain a memory written in fossils, reminders of a very different Earth. The question is, where did that drive toward extreme size first begin? And how did the earliest giants rise from much smaller ancestors? The drive toward extreme size began in deep time, but could it ever return? If Earth's climate and atmosphere shifted again toward the warm, stable conditions of the Mesozoic with rich plant growth from pole to pole, would the land one day echo once more with the footsteps of true giants? The idea sounds like science fiction, yet it raises a serious scientific question about the limits of life on this planet. Scientists have long known that large body size offers powerful advantages when the environment can support it. A giant animal loses heat more slowly, can travel long distances to find food, and often becomes nearly immune to most predators. In a world with high productivity, abundant vegetation, and relatively stable climates, evolution can steadily favor lineages that grow larger generation after generation. Over millions of years, small ancestors can, in principle, give rise to creatures that rival the great dinosaurs in mass. There is evidence showing that this pattern has played out more than once. Many millions of years ago, sauropod dinosaurs stretched to lengths greater than a city bus. Later, after the extinction, giant ground sloths and elephant-sized mammals pushed land size limits again, although they never reached true sauropod scale. These repeated experiments suggest that, given enough time and the right environmental conditions, extreme size is not a one-time event, but a recurring possibility. However, the modern world places strong new limits on that possibility. Human activity has fragmented forests and grasslands into smaller, isolated patches. Large animals need wide ranges, but fences, roads, and expanding cities cut those ranges into pieces. Rapid climate change adds another barrier. When temperatures and rainfall shift in decades instead of in millions of years, species that live fast, reproduce quickly, and adapt on short timescales gain the advantage. Slow-growing giants fall behind. If conditions ever stabilized again, which lineages might push the size boundary? Large herbivorous mammals such as elephants or their distant future relatives already show the basic body plan: column-like legs, strong weight-bearing bones, and complex digestive systems able to process huge amounts of plant material. Giant flightless birds could also expand in size, especially on large landmasses or islands with few mammalian competitors. In such settings, powerful legs and efficient lungs might support birds that rival the smaller sauropods in height. Here, a pattern interrupt appears. The question is not only what the planet allows, but what humans allow. Hunting, habitat loss, and shifting climates have already pushed many of the largest mammals toward extinction. In this sense, human decisions have played an important role in closing the window for future giants before it fully reopened. As a thought experiment, the idea of new land titans highlights just how special the dinosaur world truly was. It also underlines how strongly present actions shape the distant future. If true giants ever rise again, their story will not begin in isolation. It will be written on a planet already transformed, where the legacy of humans may be one of the most powerful forces any future giant must face. In the end, the age of giants was not a mistake or a fantasy. For many millions of years, dinosaurs grew to incredible sizes because the world itself invited them to do so. Their size was not just impressive, it was a carefully shaped response to a very special planet. The environments of the Mesozoic were warmer, more stable, and often more productive than most land habitats today. Vast floodplains, rich river systems, and long-growing seasons produced huge amounts of plant material. Scientists have found evidence showing that some regions could support herds of sauropods the size of moving apartment blocks. In such rich environments, being large meant reaching more food, traveling farther, and surviving dry or lean periods that would kill smaller animals. Inside those giants, biology kept pace with the outside world. Many large dinosaurs had bird-like air sacs woven through their bones, creating powerful but surprisingly light skeletons and highly efficient respiratory systems. This system pulled oxygen through the lungs almost continuously, allowing muscles to work for long periods. Gigantothermy then took over. By simply being massive, these animals held heat like living ovens, smoothing out day-night temperature swings and turning bulk into a shield against both cold nights and overheating days. Reproduction also played an important role, because even the largest dinosaurs hatched from eggs, they did not need huge bodies to give birth. Many small eggs meant many chances for survival, feeding an evolutionary pipeline where only the fastest-growing, most efficient individuals reached gigantic sizes. Over millions of years, this favored lineages that could turn abundant food and warm climates into towering bodies. At the same time, the landscape became an arena for a relentless arms race. Argentinosaurus, one of the most massive land animals ever known, was like a mountain that walked. Its size alone discouraged most attacks. In response, predators such as Giganotosaurus and later Tyrannosaurus rex evolved deep skulls, strong necks, and teeth built to tear or crush the bones and flesh of multi-ton prey. Ankylosaurus answered with armored plates and a heavy tail club, while Triceratops carried a shield of bone and sharp horns that could turn a charging predator into a wounded retreat. Along river systems, Spinosaurus stretched length and power into the water, becoming a semi-aquatic giant, hunting enormous fish. Together, these examples reveal the real reason dinosaurs got so big. No single cause explains it. Instead, a rare combination of warm, productive climates, efficient lungs, egg-based reproduction, and continuous predator-prey competition, opened a window in Earth's history where gigantism was one of the most successful strategies of all. Dinosaurs became giants not because they were monsters from legend, but because they were perfectly tuned to an environment that no longer exists. When that world ended, so did the path to such extreme size. The fossils left behind are silent, but the next evidence lies in a different direction. What happened when the giants were gone and smaller survivors inherited the Earth? When the smoke of extinction cleared, something profound became visible in the silence left behind. For millions of years, dinosaurs had turned size itself into one of the most powerful tools in the natural world, and that strategy left deep marks in the fossils that remain. For the largest herbivores, sheer bulk was a shield. Argentinosaurus, Patagotitan, and other giant sauropods used massive bodies, strong pillar-like legs, and long necks to dominate entire landscapes. Their height allowed them to strip branches that smaller animals could never reach, turning tree crowns into private feeding grounds. Their great size discouraged most predators because even a powerful hunter risked broken bones and fatal injuries if an attack went wrong. Predators answered with their own giants. Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus grew long, deep skulls filled with slicing teeth, adapted to carve into prey that weighed as much as modern whales. Spinosaurus stretched its body into a semi-aquatic titan, using dense bones and a tall tail to control rivers filled with giant fish. In this arms race, size was not just impressive. It played an important role in survival, intimidation, and control of territory. Yet the same traits that made these animals so dominant also made them fragile. Gigantic bodies demanded stable climates, rich plant growth, and reliable water. Scientists have found evidence showing that many of the biggest species grew slowly, taking years to reach full size, with long lives balanced on a narrow environmental edge. Their gigantothermy helped them hold heat like living ovens, but it also meant they could not quickly adjust when temperatures or food supplies suddenly changed. When the asteroid struck and the climate lurched into chaos, that edge vanished. A body built to rule a warm, productive world became a heavy burden in a darkened, collapsing environment. The very strategy that had conquered the Mesozoic turned into a trap, and the age of land giants ended in a geological instant. The story does not stop in the past. Today, one species has become a different kind of ecological giant, reshaping air, water, and land on a planetary scale. Cities, agriculture, and industry function like enormous bodies, drawing energy and materials from every continent. This power depends on thin, interconnected systems, stable climate, fertile soils, and oceans that can still absorb change. How secure is such power when those foundations begin to shift? In this light, dinosaur gigantism becomes a lesson about limits. There are boundaries to how far life can push size, metabolism, and environment before conditions snap back. Scientists have used fossils, climate models, and geochemical evidence to trace those boundaries many millions of years ago. But the questions they raise feel very present. As the documentary turns to the world after the giants, the tone becomes one of quiet awe and careful curiosity. Which survivors stepped into the spaces they left behind, and what might future giants look like if the forces that built the dinosaurs are understood and respected? Those empty spaces left by the vanished giants are not only in the fossil record, they also exist in the imagination. To sense what was truly lost, picture a living animal where the horizon should be. Argentinosaurus, one of the most massive land animals known, rises beside a human observer like a moving cliff, its torso as high as a city building, its neck sweeping upward until the head seems to disappear into the sky. At ground level, the comparison becomes even more unsettling. The leg of such a dinosaur is thicker than a person is tall. Each step a slow, powerful movement that presses deep tracks into the ancient soil. Scientists have found evidence showing that some titanosaurs may have weighed more than a fully loaded airliner. Yet air sacs in their bones made those huge skeletons lighter than they appeared. Imagining a human standing in the shadow of such an animal helps reveal how different that environment truly was. Not all giants towered silently above the landscape. In the same mental scene, a triceratops faces forward, horns leveled at chest height, its skull a massive shield of strong bone. From a human perspective, the animal's eyes would be almost level, the sharp points of the horns aimed directly at vital organs. A short charge across a few meters of ground would turn the space in front of it into a lethal zone, combining speed, weight, and weaponry in a single focused burst of force. Which dinosaur giant would be the most frightening presence in darkness? A silent sauropod that could crush a body without noticing, a horned titan driving forward like a living battering ram, or a predator whose teeth flashed at eye level. Some viewers may fear teeth and claws, others the armor and horns of herbivores, and some the sheer size that turns the landscape itself into a threat. Those choices reveal which kind of danger feels most real. By building these scenes in the mind, the scale of the Age of Giants becomes more than a number on a chart. It becomes a world where gigantothermy turned bodies into heat-storing fortresses, where air-filled bones lightened immense frames, and where an evolutionary arms race played an important role in driving both predators and prey toward ever greater size. The familiar world of modern animals begins to feel small in comparison. Among these ideas, which factor seems most surprising? The bird-like lungs, the thermal inertia of huge bodies, or the constant pressure of predation and defense? Different viewers will favor different explanations, and their theories about which force mattered most become part of an ongoing investigation rather than a final verdict. In that way, the channel becomes more than a source of distant facts. It turns into a shared space where fossils, measurements, and digital reconstructions meet personal reactions and questions, and where the mysteries of dinosaurs that lived many millions of years ago are explored together, piece by piece, before the story moves on to the next chapter of life after the giants. In that way, the channel becomes more than a source of distant facts. It turns into a shared space where fossils, measurements, and digital reconstructions meet personal reactions and questions, and where the mysteries of dinosaurs that lived many millions of years ago are explored together piece by piece before the story moves on to the next chapter of life after the giants. The age of dinosaur giants has ended, but the questions those giants leave behind are more powerful than ever. Their huge bodies, strong limbs, and massive teeth still raise difficult ideas about power, survival, and sudden planetary change. Each skeleton is not only a record of an individual animal, but also a warning about how quickly an entire environment can shift when the balance is broken. Scientists have gathered evidence showing that some sauropods, like Argentinosaurus, reached sizes greater than modern airplanes. Other predators, such as Spinosaurus and Giganotosaurus, rivaled or exceeded Tyrannosaurus rex in length, hunting prey that weighed as much as modern whales on land. Understanding how such giants lived, hunted, and died helps reveal what is possible for life on Earth and what might be lost if global conditions change again. Future investigations on this channel will follow those clues in greater depth. Planned episodes will examine the most dangerous dinosaur battles, from apex hunters clashing over territory to coordinated attacks on giant herbivores. Other chapters will look at the smartest dinosaurs, using brain case fossils and digital scans to ask how complex their behavior might have been. There will also be a careful look at genetics and ancient DNA, and how close science can truly come to bringing any form of dinosaur back. Could fragments of genetic code ever rebuild a creature that walked the Earth many millions of years ago, or is that boundary permanent? Audience choices will play an important role in shaping which giants return to the screen first. A poll and community post invite viewers to decide which dinosaur deserves a full episode. Argentinosaurus towering over forests, Spinosaurus moving between water and land, Ankylosaurus using armor and a heavy tail, or another favorite giant that changed its environment simply by existing. Each vote helps direct the next fossil trail that the series will follow. Sharing this information also changes how prehistory is imagined. Many people still picture Tyrannosaurus rex as one of the most gigantic creatures ever to walk on land. But fossils provide evidence showing that several herbivores, and even some predators, could meet it eye to eye or look down from above. Passing this documentary to someone who still believes T-Rex was the largest land animal becomes part of correcting that mental picture, replacing a single towering hunter with entire ecosystems of giants. On the scale of deep time, the human story is very recent. Long before any human cities or tools, giants ruled this planet, and their strong bones still mark how far life can push size, strength, and survival. By understanding those vanished worlds, it becomes easier to see what might be possible in Earth's future, and what is at stake if the climate and environment change again. The age of the dinosaurs has ended, but the age of questions about giants is still unfolding, and the next answer may appear in the very next chapter.